One very important question before we go into the data, and that is why. Why do we as individuals should film? What is the reason? I have here my father's camera. It's a 1980s Nikon FE2. He bought it in 1987 when he was moving to Bangladesh, and he bought it from Hong Kong. And we used to move quite a lot when I was a kid, from country to country, and we have very little belongings that went with us, and this camera was the most expensive thing that we kind of moved to every country with. And I remember when I was 7 or 8, we were doing like Grand Canyon tour in the States, and my father gave me this camera. And if you're not familiar with it, it's a manual focus camera, obviously, and you can really screw up the shutter speed. So when he gave it to me, he trusted me. He showed me how the light meter works and what's the shutter time I should go for. And I remember it from a kid, because film needs trust, because you can't see it straight away. I can give a DSLR to my child who's 3 and let her play with it as much as possible, and everything is fine, and no one cares what's coming out. But film needs trust from the photographer, and my father trusted me, and that's the reason I love cameras, and that's the reason why I want them to stick around. Here's a picture of me when I was a teenager. That's the same camera. It had a Leica 19mm R Elmarit on it, and it was a T-Max roll. It was my first roll that I had bought myself, and then I did what all teens do, take a mirror selfie. These cameras have a history which is so much longer than that digital can bring, and that's my first reason for why. And the second reason is that I have now kids of my own, and I almost screwed up the memories of my daughter. The first half a year went, and then my hard drive broke. Yes, you're supposed to have backups, but I didn't. I had to pay 500 euros for it to be serviced, and I understood that, okay, I'm now saving the memories of my children, and I'm responsible for them, so I wanted to shoot them in film so that I know they are there for tens of years or even 100 years. These are my two whys, and I wanted to start with the why before we went to this, because that's the single most important thing we as film photographers or film enthusiasts in the world can talk about, because that's the thing that gets people really excited, why you shoot film. And that's the thing that gets new people into this art or scene. What is Save Analog Cameras then? I'll just go through it fast, because most of you probably who will see this haven't filled in the form we are going to talk about. A lot of you did, over 7,500 of you did, but we hope that this is a start of a conversation that will be seen by many. In April, I set up a website, cameraventures.com/help, that I wrote an article into it, and many people helped and translated it into different languages. And in the end, it was in very many languages, and we got In 4 months, over 7,500 people replied to it from over 100 countries, and it's now a very big resource of information of what the analog world looks like in 2017. So, my main point in the article was that to have a future, film photography needs new users. It's not enough that the old users use more film, because we get older, we need a new generation. And to do that, I mapped out 4 different types of personalities, 40 different types of film photographer personalities. And one was the so-called newcomer, a person that has been very little time with film. And I wanted to find out what are the characteristics that make a newcomer different from the other 3 groups. In this talk, I will have 6 major sections. And this is not only a keynote. We have released over 50 articles today into the web. And this is dive through of what they contain. And I'm just trying to help you explain to you what's all around the web, our site now. The 6 sections are the community worldwide, the content creators people are learning from, where to buy film, where to develop and scan film, where to repair cameras, and then localized results. First, let's go to the community. Who are actually shooting film? This was the single biggest surprise for me in the whole campaign, because 55.9% of the people shooting film, or not shooting film, but that were so dedicated to shooting film that they were willing to fill in a 10-minute internet questionnaire. When have you done that for anything for free? And they were under 34 years old. That means that they've never in their childhood seen someone play or take a photo of with film, or it wasn't the norm when they grew up into their teens. And this is hugely good news, because here you can go also to the community section. These are active tableau graphs, which means that you can press on, pretty much anything and it changes. And you can check what is the community like in your country. For Finland, for example, we tend to be a bit older than the rest of the world. We tend to be a lot less artistic, more engineer type, and our social circle size tends to be smaller, which is no surprise for anyone who's Finnish, but for the rest of us, we even out. And you can see the little differences. You can go and take a look at your own country, or you can go and take a look at where do the newcomers come from, or you can go and take a look what age groups are active and so forth. The second part is the content creators. We have now listed from the 7,500 results, the top 10 Facebook groups people are, or pages people are following, or they are not following, they're recommending for other people, the top 10 Instagram accounts, the top 10 Twitter accounts, the top 10 YouTube accounts, and then a top 20 blog / app / rest of the things. There's an article written for every single one of these top 10s, and it has more information. And link for them. This is what, for example, the Instagram map looks like. There's also article, but there's a map made where it shows that this graph, for example, is Bellamy, a Japan camera hunter, is the #1 most recommended Instagrammer according to our survey. And you can go see again what is the most recommended in your country, what is the most recommended by your age group, or whatever. Now, the third question was where to buy film. And this was kind of funny because at the moment we were starting to process the results, which there is a lot of into this question also. Karina contacted me and she had already massed a map with 250 or so developing places to buy film at that point. So we thought that, okay, there's no point for us to do another map. We gave her our results. There's so much that she's still working on them, but she's got 600 places mapped out. Places mapped out worldwide. You can see kind of the map here. There are different, all the continents except Africa for some reason are represented. So there's quite a lot of info. There's a lot of info still missing. So if you want to participate with your knowledge, you can go to wheretobuyfilm.co, not .com. That's another place. And it's not active, but .co. And there you can see the map and take part in filling it out, and Karina is doing a great job on this. Now, the fourth thing we want to have a say at is where do people develop and scan film. And this is the thing where we noticed that newcomers are the most different from all the other groups. Here you can see on the left is the total balance of the world, where it has some people doing it themselves because it's cheaper, because it's faster, or because they're better. And then other option is so big. But when you take only the newcomers, the amount of people doing it in a local store or a lab that services them online is a lot bigger. And this totally makes sense when you think about it. When you shot your first roll of film, or did you develop it yourself? No, probably not, unless you were doing black and white in a school thing. At least with a color film, which is the easiest entry point for a digital teen, it's very easy if there's a lab doing everything. And there is this is kind of a serious situation, because labs are there's two kinds of labs left in the world. There's labs with too much work, because they're doing a lot of newcomer things, they're having competitions, they have a strong local community and things like that. And then there are labs that put their machine up and running maybe once a week, and they don't have enough volume to keep the machine going in a way that it doesn't break. And the labs with too much work cannot get enough machines, and the labs that have very little work just keep rising the prices so that newcomers cannot afford shooting film, or it seems a bit harsh when you have to do 30 or 40 euros for film plus development plus scanning and maybe even pictures. And to have a future, we need to ensure everyone has the access to their first analog photos. That's the basic problem, that if we don't have good labs, we will not have an easy way for people to access analog photography. So those who are doing labs at the moment, if you are full, yes, you can contact me, but if you're not full with work, please contact me. I have a suggestion that might help you get some more work, and we could get more people into the genre. Again, for this, there is a map already available. It's called the Emulsive Film Development, whatever, Global Film Lab map. That's the name. It's on emulsive.org. Again, we didn't see a point for doing another map. This is a really good map, and it's really accurate. So if you're looking for a lab, this is the place to go. Now, the fifth question was where to repair film cameras. And this, as I said in the video introduction that was going around social media, we had some joyful things, like joyful news, the fact that the answering people were really young, but we have also some kind of action points we would love the community to take action on. And this is the action point that's most important, because from our results, 70% of the community couldn't name a place where they could fix their camera if it broke. Or if their friend had broken camera, they couldn't recommend any place for them. And this is quite a large number. Obviously, basic cameras for newcomers are really cheap still. You can get a fabulous camera for under 100 euros. Even for 50, you can get something really nice. But that will not be the case forever. And we cannot always keep it so that when a camera breaks, we just toss it away or put it into the shelves forever. We have to keep repairing them if we want to raise the amount of people shooting film. And the rest, the 30% that could name a place, named as 470 different places. This was basically around 2,000 people named as 470 different places. So it was really, how would I call it? This is the top list of places that got over six mentions. You cannot probably see anything, but there's only around 30 or 40 shops that got mentioned over 6 times. And this is where we need most help. There's 470 like raw data that we have. Jordan from with the Instagram nick Cameraplex has been going through it, and he made this form so we could verify which of the 470 actually are repair shops. Because for example, the 470 contained Carmen Sida Labs, which is a developing place that doesn't have any repair functions whatsoever. So we would need to confirm the labs that are actually taking work in. So if you know a lab that is taking work in, it most probably is in the 470. If it's not, then you can email us. But if it is, go please and verify it on the form that is in the article that we published. Alongside the main article, which is basically the same content than this keynote, we had over 50 different articles published. There were the articles about social media, there were some articles about film labs and things like that, but then there were localized articles. There were localized articles from Norway to Brazil to Germany to Russia, different languages, different content, and in those people in the team went through the local results manually and wrote a recommendation based on it. And there's over 50 articles that have been published today, and we didn't get all the major areas. For example, the US was too much data for one man to handle, and we'll have to figure that out later, but many areas got their own localized articles, and even in their own language. A link to everything is available at cameraventures.com/results. There is this keynote in text format, and then the video will come there, obviously there also, but then there are the links you can go through. In the original Save Analog Cameras article, I presented 4 different threats. The first one was that the developing and scanning machines will have to retire. That problem we still have going on. The second was that the big film production lines will have to retire. That also is going on, but since the publication of the article, I've been getting information from companies and individuals, and it looks like there is no immediate threat to film as a concept. Companies like Adox and Film Ferrania have plans for decades, for a very long time. And yes, we will lose the cheapest €2 film or $2 film that you can get at the grocery store, but we will not lose color film completely. We will not lose film completely, and there isn't danger in that. The third one is that the cameras will retire if they're not serviced. And the fourth one is that the already available cameras are not actually available. They are in the hands of collectors that have too many cameras, or they are in the hands of just normal people in cupboards in Europe and the US and Japan especially. The cameras were never tossed or recycled. They are still somewhere, but they are not actively in circulation. And here we in Finland want to try to make our share. We don't have a special know-how for chemistry so much that we could start to do film, and there are other companies doing that, and we are an engineer kind of country with a nice know-how, and we like to pull together to do nice things. And it's Finland is turning 100 years this year, and we've talked with the repair centers and the biggest shop in town, Kameratori, which I'm also a part of, and Camera Ventures, and we want to try to save 100,000 cameras by 2020. We're now at around 35,000 cameras saved with the shops that are working together since 2010. So we have to keep up and start to do a bit faster, or grow things. But this is our kind of dream, to rescue 100,000 cameras by 2020, and we'll start a project on that. And you can go and check out camerarescue.org next week. We'll have some information there. So we hope to make the last two threats kind of gray, at least for Europe, from Finland, and that way help the analog world forward. And to sum it all up, I still recommend the why question. This is my daughter. She was supposed to pose for me for Instagram with an old camera because it's cool. Old cameras are cool. But I had already winded up the camera, so she took her first film shot just when I was taking this shot from her, and I want to someday do it properly, like my father did it to me, that he gave me this camera and said that I trust you, and you take the pictures from this trip. And I want that trust to go on, and I want these cameras to go on, and that's why we did this whole project. And I'm so very thankful for everyone who's been helping. And if you've found this helpful or the data helpful, please do articles on your blogs or Facebook or whatever. Use the material as you want, because it's up for grabs for anyone. And when you do, please do talk about your why while you do it, because that's the part that really gets people excited. And the domain you should go to, or the URL, is cameraventures.com/results. There is the linking to all of the articles I was talking about. And thank you.